What's going on? College football playoff quarterfinals wrapped up today after Georgia and Notre Dame got postponed. Hopefully, everyone impacted by the bombing in New Orleans is doing okay. And I want to go back through and I just want to talk about all the games that happened. Let's start with Notre Dame beating Georgia. And my biggest takeaway from this game is the best team doesn't always win. And that's what I think happened in this one. I think that if Georgia and Notre Dame played 10 times, I think Georgia would win 7 of them. I think that they'd win 7 of the 10, and that might be a stretch because the SEC is undefeated in hypothetical games. And I know that people hate it when people say things like that, but that's the truth, right? Like, the best team doesn't always win, and I didn't think that Notre Dame was the better football team in this one. And if you want to push back and say, no, Notre Dame's better because they won, then I guess that means that you think Northern Illinois is better than Illinois, and you think Michigan's better than Ohio State, and you think Arkansas is better than Tennessee, and you think Kentucky's better than Ole Miss. Okay, the better team doesn't always win, and that's what I think happened tonight between Notre Dame and Georgia. Georgia outgained Notre Dame on offense. Their passing game was much more prolific. It was much more explosive. They had more first downs than Notre Dame did. I thought that both teams defensively were awesome. But the difference in the game was Georgia turned the football over twice, and Notre Dame had the kickoff return for a touchdown. And those to me are just mistakes, right? You lose lane discipline on kickoffs, you give up a touchdown return. You turn the football over twice, and victory favors the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. So you do have to give Notre Dame credit for not making as many mistakes as Georgia did, as that was the difference in the game. And that's where Notre Dame took advantage, right when Georgia fumbled the football inside Notre Dame's 10 right before the half. They capitalized with a touchdown, right? That was a big momentum swing right before the half, and then, obviously they come out and they return that kickoff for a touchdown. And when you look at Georgia, they beat themselves, okay? If you turn the ball over twice in the red zone, you have a walk-on commit an incredibly stupid penalty getting in the way of the referee, which costs you being at the 11, in the red zone against a really good Notre Dame defense. When you make mistakes like that and you don't play well in special teams, like, you aren't going to beat a team as good as Notre Dame. So Georgia, you did it to yourself. Tip of the cap to Notre Dame for not making the same amount of mistakes as Georgia. The other games, I'm not going to say that they went according to plan. We're going to jump back to New Year's Eve, Penn State and Boise State. That game was just a physical mismatch. That game wasn't close. I know Boise State trailed by 3 points for all of 5 minutes, but it never really felt like Boise State was threatening in that game whatsoever. I think everyone who watched that game knew that Penn State could run the football whenever they wanted to. And they did. Boise State didn't really move the ball consistently in that game. They had one drive where they moved it down the field for a touchdown. The other touchdown drive was a 5-play drive with the big play to the tight end. Great play call and all those things, but come on now. Boise State never really had much of a chance in that game, and group of 5 teams never will have much of a chance in these games because upper echelon, the best group of 5 teams, are just never going to be as talented as the best, Power 4 schools. Okay, the only way Boise State had a chance in that game is if like 3 or 4 guys for Penn State got hurt, which obviously we hope that doesn't happen. So Penn State, they pull away weight and really kind of give it to Boise State and beat them by 17 in a game that wasn't close. Then we have the Arizona State and Texas game, which ended up being a great game. Looked like Texas was going to blow them out, right? They go up 14-0 really fast. Arizona State responds in a big way in the second half. It was just really impressive. Arizona State's just grit and Scatterboo and his ability to just kind of keep Arizona State in that game. I thought Lewitt did a really good job of extending plays with his legs and, finding receivers after evading this relentless Texas pass rush. And, they played awesome. They left it all out on the field. I think everyone walked away from that game feeling like Arizona State undoubtedly belonged in the college football playoff. Texas, on the other hand, I walk away with the same feeling that I always have whenever I watch Texas play football this year. They never play up to their full potential. Okay, like they're as talented as anyone in the country, not named Ohio State. More on them here in a minute, but they just can't seem to play to that full potential, especially on offense. I feel like defensively they've been really good this year. I think that their defense is the most underrated unit in this college football playoff. They are nasty on that side of the ball, physical, fast. That front four gets pressure. With that being said, I thought that throughout the game they got worn down. They were on the field for 37 minutes before overtime. Okay, either way, they generated a ton of pressure. That's why they won the game. Arizona State could not pass block against this Texas front. Leavitt, once again, was awesome, extending plays and just doing things that good quarterbacks do, but I thought he played well. Texas's offense did just enough for them to win. That's just kind of what they've done all year, just enough. For everyone complaining about the targeting call, it wasn't targeting. I know that because the referees said that it wasn't, and that's ultimately all that really matters. I also don't think that it impacted the outcome of the game. As someone who played collegiate sports, no game ever comes down to one play. It just doesn't. Like when you look at the history of sports and you look at the history of football and you just look at that Arizona State and Texas game, if Arizona State doesn't start off by putting themselves in a hole where they go down 14-0, then chances are they have a much better chance at winning that game. They had an opportunity in overtime to win that game. That targeting call, did it suck? Or I guess the lack of the targeting call, did it suck? Of course it did, but it didn't have an impact on the outcome of the game. With that being said, it doesn't really feel like it matters because whether Arizona State or Texas had won, it just kind of feels like Ohio State is going to blow out whoever they play the rest of the way, because Ohio State is by far the best team left in this college football playoff. They were finally like, you know what, we have better receivers than everybody. There's not a secondary in the country that can really guard these guys. And as long as they continue to feed the 3 NFL level wide receivers that they have on the perimeter, they will continue to beat everybody unless a team like Texas, who is capable of doing this, not saying that they will, but you have to have an outstanding pass rush to beat Ohio State. And with Georgia being gone, a team that I think had the best pass rush left of any team in the college football playoff, I don't think there's a team left that's really going to be able to push and challenge Ohio State in that regard, which means that you better score a boatload of points. And Penn State and Notre Dame definitely don't have offenses to keep up with them. And Texas should on paper, but they haven't played up to that level all year, so it's hard to expect them to do that now. So Ohio State just beat the dog out of Oregon, who's a really good team. And it's all Buckeyes. They're probably going to win the whole thing, but this is why we play the games. The best team doesn't always win. Can't wait to see how the rest of this unfolds. Semifinals coming up on Thursday and Friday night. Make sure you subscribe here to Shooting the Schmidt to, see you whenever my video comes out previewing those games. Can't wait to do those. Those will probably come out on Wednesday night. I'll probably have some NFL and NBA stuff on the days in between. Thank you for checking out the video, and I'll talk to you again later.